Good afternoon, Flame. How are you?
Good evening, good day, good something.
It's sometime
Good.
somewhere.
You know why it's good? Because we got, like they say in jail, we got one day and a wake up. Guess what's happening in one day and a wake up?
What?
We got poor connection. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Oh, yeah.
He's leaving. This is dedicated to the current administration. He's leaving the White House in 2 days. This one is just for you, player. Y'all see that? It says, "Mother had you, mother love you, motherfuck you, nigga. You out of here. We are free." But y'all know that nigga pardoning 100 people tomorrow.
He is,
I wonder
yeah.
what that money look like.
Well, they said that their allies have been getting lots of donations and stuff. So I guess we're gonna see who paid the money to get the pardons.
Would those be the same people who gave him $270 million for, because he's going to be the president again on Wednesday?
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. Y'all so smart. Oh, y'all so smart. I love y'all.
There's special people in the world, so you can't begrudge them.
It's special sauce.
Special sauce.
Welcome,
Definitely.
ladies and gentlemen, to Laugh and Learn with Flame Monroe, Laureen Hogan, or Lori, as we affectionately call her over here.
How y'all doing?
Good afternoon,
Good.
Mr. Smith. How are you?
Doing all right. How is my producer and how is our videographer?
Tribble and Kendall are fine.
I
They're
think
here
they're
looking
swell.
good. And they've been what? What did they get this morning?
Sprayed.
Lysol. Interesting that you would raise that today, Flame. That is among the
Today,
many things
I'm
we'll be
raising it.
discussing.
I'm raising it today, but I use it every day on
Every
everybody.
day. I wonder if the police are listening right now. You know why I
Police.
bring that up.
I know why you brought it up, but police, if you listen because I sprayed somebody with Lysol, arrest me, player. I've been to jail before. They let me out on a technicality. I get back out, nigga. I got bond money.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you do.
How are you, Nick? I know what you're going to go to. You're going to go to Florida where they arrested that teacher for spraying that 3-year-old boy with Lysol. But before we talk about that, please explain to us how you feel about Lysol now, because you were explaining something to Lauren and I yesterday on the phone about what Lysol has done to contact surfaces, and your body, your skin is a surface, your clothing is a surface. So you explain it better than I can.
Well, no, you laid it out right there, and that's exactly what it is. That the idea behind Lysol is to disinfect, and that's what its promise is, to disinfect upon 99% of the surfaces and things and kill germs that it lands on. The idea behind the aerosol is to also create this mist and to kill bacteria. Well, COVID is among those different viruses and bacteria that Lysol is believed to kill. We were talking about yesterday how I've just been doing a little more reading and a little more research, and I had a situation this week where you have one of those aha moments, and you're like, wait a minute, I need a few more answers to a couple of questions that you have now created in my mind, not you, but the world in general. Specifically, we're talking about how COVID was introduced to us last year. In fact, we just hit the anniversary. A year ago today, we had our first case, not our first death, but our first case. Hey, we know COVID is here in the United States. We went into a lockdown in March. They immediately enacted Operation Warp Speed, not after too long after that, where they created and got different companies and pharmaceutical companies to get engaged in creating a vaccine. Totally understand that. Proud, love the science. But now, last month, we were told that there's this super strain that has now been introduced into the public at large. Oh, but don't worry about it, Lauren Flame, because the vaccine that we created for COVID with the original strain, this works on that one too.
No.
And I said to you,
it might
It
work
might
on
work,
this strain.
yeah.
That's what the word.
So I say to you, so then a virus, a vaccine that you created for the original virus just magically may work for this one too, but we don't know. But go ahead anyway. And I was just saying that those are the kind of things I feel like give people pause and make you say, wait a minute, I was riding with you all when you were very clear about what your original directive was. Now it seems like, oh, well, it worked for that. It's going to work for this strain too. But I thought you said this new strain was more infectious and it's super contagious and it's even crazier than the last strain. I just feel as though there's more information needed, and I don't believe that we're getting everything we need to know. And that just gave me pause. And I had to share that with you all.
Well, you never answered the question, but come on, Lauren, because you never answered the question that I asked you. I'm just saying.
Well,
about
he
the
said-
Lysol?
Yes.
I think it works. I think the Lysol works, clearly, because you've been doing the Lysol. So all that to say, you've been doing the Lysol, and I just think the Lysol must be doing something. Right
And
along
we
with-
said this. We said this too, though, that Lysol now has these commercials that specifically say that they're most effective in killing COVID-19. It's a part of their tagline at the bottom scroll. So it works. So we can give Flame that credit that she was the first to spray people, and it's been working
Don't get-
a year
see,
later.
And let's go back. Let's go back to the teacher who lost her job for spraying the 3-year-old
Yeah.
kid. At least she didn't tell the kid to take it internally to ingest it or put it in a needle and shoot it in her arm and put UV
Yeah.
lights up on there. Who did that? Your
Yeah.
president for one more day. One
For-
more
for
day,
the
he's gonna
rec-
be your president.
For the record, we're telling everybody about a story that we came across last week. A Florida teacher accused of spraying students with Lysol. She was arrested because she really wanted to just make sure that the kids were, disinfected when they came in a mist. And I want to be clear, it's not like you are, hey, Nick, stand here spraying me in my
No.
face. That's not what
I
you
can
do
it
at
now.
all.
Let me
At
show you
all.
how we do. Let
Oh
me
my
show you.
God, no.
Exactly.
Come on, Laura, let me get you. Over, Lauren, you see that? Over. And it
Over,
it
absolutely.
creates a shield of protection.
Well, according to police in Largo and Pinellas County near Tampa, Christina Rezistar, 51 years old, was arrested last week after she allegedly sprayed the aerosol disinfectant in and around the children in her classroom. She's 51. She was worried about her own safety and everyone else, and they arrested her for that. So,
And she's
that's
51, not 5150, and I can almost guarantee you that she's a flamette. I bet you she's a flamette. And she watches what we have done over here because we spray everybody, and it works.
You know what Flame just said? You should probably be getting a check from Lysol. That might be something we need to look into.
Lysol. I
Because the
need
way
your
you
people-
advocate for them,
Yeah, I need your people to talk to my people so that I can get a check. Let me
That
just
might
say
be a
it.
good idea.
And I can
You might
attest
need a
that you have a
commercial.
full case. You definitely have a full
Yep.
case and everything there.
might need a
But,
commercial.
And we're not saying this to shame her because we were also talking about shaming all the way around. Fat shaming and everything is really becoming a thing lately, Flame. And you and I
Well,
were talking
Lauren
about
has
that.
a story about fat shaming before I go into my spiel.
Well, yeah, I told Nick this yesterday, but funny enough, a couple weeks ago, Flame was in the grocery store. Someone came up to her and was like, "Oh my gosh, love the show, love Nick, love Lauren," but decided to say, "Has Lauren been snacking?"
Ooh.
So, we're talking about fat shaming. I feel like we all have a story, but it's no shade because, you always need those people to keep you in check. Like, for instance, I have a great grandmother. She turned 101 on January 2nd. Love her dearly,
Hey.
but she's, relatively blind. She can't see. So every time I see her, she always, Ray Charleses me to see if I've gained weight. So
I love that.
we appreciate everyone keeping us in check. Sometimes, you need somebody to just nudge you a little bit and say, "Hey, you doing okay?" But that's my fat
That's
shaming
her
story.
story. Okay, let's go to the source of the fat shaming. Because, understand that there is a process to fat shaming. Gaining weight and losing weight is the exact same process. It takes time to get it off, and it takes time to put it on. You do understand that you contribute to putting it on because it's called hand to mouth. Chicken, potato chips, ice cream. Don't start telling somebody, "Oh, you fat shame me." You didn't get fat in a day. That was a process. You was fat last week, yesterday, tomorrow, next month, last month, 3 weeks ago, next year, last year, all that. So y'all stop with all that. "Oh, I'm fat." It's not a such thing as fat shaming. It took time to get fat. It takes time to lose the fat. Even though you can have the quick surgery now, the fat still don't fall off. So stop saying that people are fat shaming you
Yeah.
when you contributed to that fat.
So what you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that don't be running around here
You're
talking about,
agreeing
"I
with
heard
the?
you."
You're agreeing with them?
Did I agree with the guy saying that you haven't snacking?
Yeah.
No comment.
Wow.
Oh my God,
Wow.
Cali lady.
No, I
Cali
love
lady
my
just
Lord.
said
Y'all
we're
know
all
this-
snacking in this lockdown.
No,
So,
I'm just
Cali
messing
lady,
up.
thank you.
Shady. Ooh, it's okay.
We love that. Flame, but since we talk about people who love to shame people, can we talk about your president and how he has continued to take donations for a failed, for making false claims about the election being rigged? And he has racked in quite a bit.
How
Trump
much?
donations.
How much?
Trump has raised $495 million since mid-October, including a massive haul fueled by misleading appeals about election fraud.
So guess what? He owes $420 million apparently either to China or to Russia. I need you. I know you don't pay taxes, nigga, but go ahead and pay them because you know them people ain't gonna play with you. So you need to go ahead and pay Putin or Yang Yang or whoever you owe money to and get your debt clear because your followers, your people have gave you that money to pay off that debt. Now, they ain't said nothing about the taxes in America that you ain't paid. We talking about that other debt because you will disappear because those, especially with them Asians, them Yangs don't play. Baby, don't owe them no money. They'll follow you around the beauty supply store. Ask me how I know. Okay, wait a minute. What?
These are all people who will clearly be looking to President Trump to either pay them back or ask for favors because among those are the Capitol Hill rioters who have been arrested, many of whom have made public appeals for leniency, saying that, hey, I expect the president to pardon me because I was carrying out his orders.
Yeah, that's correct. One, I would just like to say it's so unfortunate that people are really naive because you've been giving money to Trump as if he was going to run again, one, and now he's facing impeachment for the second time. But also, two, it's just it's baffling that, and I mean, and let's just say this, reports are coming out that Trump is definitely going to either trade, our intelligence so that way he can, knock off some of this debt. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. And to your last point, Nick, is Trump is expected to pardon about 100 people tomorrow. So overall, it's
It's interesting because Mr. Trump has indeed been impeached the second time by the House.
Can we remix that right quick? Wait a minute, Nick. Remix that. You about to lose your job 2 times. You about to lose your job 2 times. You about to lose your job 2 times.
And has the distinction of having more votes for impeachment than any other, So not only has he won in the number of times of being impeached, he leads that twice now, where no one else had been impeached twice, but also by bipartisan support. The fact that 10 Republicans joined on board also reset the stage as well, that it wasn't completely partisan. It was indeed a bipartisan decision. But among those, Jacob Anthony Chansley, a.k.a. Jake Angeli, was allowed to request and have his request received and approved to have only organic food while he is incarcerated waiting for his date.
Is that the white boy with all the paint and shit on his face?
Yes.
Yes.
The one who his mommy came out and said that he's not Popeye, but he has to have his spinach.
Yes.
Tell that nigga he stay in jail long enough, he gonna get all the fat-free meat he need, baby. No calories. It ain't gonna make him gain no weight. It's organic. It comes from the body directly.
Did you guys know that you could get organic food in jail though? This was news to me. I didn't even know.
I'm going to say this just to be clear, because there are those who may be aware that when you are incarcerated, there are indeed ramifications and modifications made for those who have different areas of worship. So it is not outrageous to me that organic food would be among those things, because there are those who often convert to the Nation of Islam, and then they're allowed to worship differently, and they do eat differently.
But how does that qualify for organic food, though? I understand, like maybe if you're Seventh-day Adventist, you don't eat pork or something like that. But organic food, it's expensive when you're out of jail to purchase. So
but there are those who choose not to put those toxins in their body. And he's, so I'm just saying that that's not outrageous to me.
But all of that goes off the table when you are incarcerated for a crime.
That's what I would think.
Here you go right here. He's incarcerated for a crime against America, treason. That's a crime. He shouldn't be allowed to have any. If it was a brother, let me just say the fucking words. If it was a brother, that nigga would eat the same bologna sandwiches that the rest of us eat. Because I've been in jail. I had them bologna sandwiches. They hard to get down, but they good trading stuff. You can use them to play cards with and everything. They thick as more. They real thick, but you can play cards with them and all of that.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
I don't like the fact that he gets. Yeah, it is a story. I don't like the fact that he gets special privilege because I'm sorry. They're giving too many of them special privileges, and I'm just not for it. I'm not for it, and I don't want to talk about them no more. Today is a very special day because today we celebrate, whose birthday was on Friday, the memory, the legacy of the one and only Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes,
Reverend
indeed.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes,
one of the founding fathers of the civil rights movement. He wasn't the only one. There was a bunch of them, but he was the one that we saw. He was the one that was out there publicly, and we spoke because there was a couple of other ones that was right there with him. but the times were different, and they could not be as open to speak about civil rights because they had skeletons in their closet. One of them being a part of the LGBT community, Bayard Rustin, who was actually supposed to be selected to be Martin Luther King. He was actually supposed to be the king of that era, but he got caught in the car. He got caught in the car with two white boys. I guess it's different if you get caught in the car with two white boys as opposed to being king, going around from state to state, smashing and grabbing. Because we love you, Dr. King, but the notorious rumor is out. So all you side bitches that think y'all just started, Baby Martin was pushing panties back to the side like Jay-Z way back in the day, baby. I'm just saying. And we still love you, Dr. King.
I don't think anybody's ever heard that before, Flay.
Shit.
If they watch Selma, if you watch Selma, they know. It's okay. It's common knowledge now.
I will say this. I'll tell you what may not be common knowledge. Did you know that Martin Luther King was not his original name?
Yes.
Yes, we did know that.
See, see, there you go.
And when did you learn that, sir?
Yesterday.
Who taught you? Who taught you that?
Flay Monroe.
His name was Michael, but you know the backstory. So his name was Michael.
No, yeah, absolutely. I just thought that was interesting. The story of how Michael King Jr. became Martin Luther King Jr., and it all stems from his father having taken a trip to Germany, being so influenced by what he saw was the rise of Nazism in Berlin at the time. Adolf Hitler was just moving into power, and he loved the teachings of Martin Luther of Germany. And he says, you know what? He was so influenced by that and how he felt that that could enact change, that those teachings were all about empowering people, civil discourse, but peaceful protest, all of these different things to fight for equality. And he came back, and that became his life's mission. And then later in life, Martin changed his name Michael changed his name to Martin Luther. And so he became Martin Luther King Jr., just like his dad.
And part of that, too, though, was that he wanted to distinguish himself from others. You know, I had studied part of this in school, too, is, you know, like you said, Martin Luther did the 95 Thesis. He came back, but he also realized that that was more of a distinguished name that would help him stand out in society. Yep. So that was also partly, too, of why he changed his name and then decided to change his son's name as well. So, but like Flame said... Changing
your name to stand out, is that how one becomes Flame Monroe also?
You know... Maybe. Who knew?
Let's talk about some of Martin, because niggas ain't talking about shit. Let's talk about some of Martin's fantastic quotes. My personal favorite quote of Martin Luther King, because I was 2 when Martin was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel on April the 4th, 1968. I was only 2. I was going to turn 3 that year. But I remember, and I don't remember but I remember my grandmother being in such a funk, even at that age. And I'm telling you, I only remember that recently, because you'd be surprised at what you remember as a kid. Yeah. And she was so broken because she had pictures of Martin Luther King. Like we have pictures of Barack Obama over the house. I and my grandmother and them had pictures of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and people like that. Jesse Jackson at the time. She took those pictures down of Jesse Jackson, let me just say, before she left here. Anyway. Jesse kept getting caught with us in his shit. Anywho, she was so hurt and so broken because they assassinated King. But she had said that after they assassinated Bobby Kennedy, and Bobby Kennedy was for civil rights and was standing with King, that she knew it would only be a matter of time before they, and she didn't say that day, but she told me that as I got older, that she knew that they were going to assassinate Martin Luther King. I think that he knew too. In one of his memoirs, I think it's his 63 memoir, which is my favorite quote of his, there's so many, is once you accept death, you're free. It allowed me to understand that we all are going to die. I can't be walking around worried about when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I just got to keep living because it's inevitable for not only myself, but everybody. We're all going to die. But he has so many quotes, and we want to know what's your favorite and why. Lauren, you got a favorite quote from the King?
I do. You want me to quote it exactly what your favorite one is?
No, this is Laugh and Learn. We'll never get the shit all the way right.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is actually, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. That's one of my favorite Dr. King quotes. Nick, what about you?
I was talking about the one that we talked about yesterday. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Mm-hmm. And you sit there and you're like, whoa, because sometimes I think people move in a space where they feel like, well, I'm just going to, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Let me just go ahead and let it go. And we've often talked about the importance of allies and people who are engaged in the process, because truly none of us are free until everybody is free. So yeah, definitely.
What he did do though, even with the what was the bus? What was it called?
The Montgomery
The
bus
Montgomery
boycott.
bus boycott. He gave us a sense of purpose because we only felt like we could be maids or bus boys or in that era. He gave us a sense of purpose that we can be so much more. We can be this. We can be that. And his speech, "I Have a Dream." He dreamed, and he dreamed big for us. And he did say in his speech prolifically that I may not be there with you when you get there. We still ain't got there, Dr. King. We still have not gotten there. It feels like we're getting close, and every time it feels like we're getting closer and closer, it's snatched away from us because we do have some prolific leaders. But right now, we need to stand by these female prolific leaders that we have because the women are the ones that's standing on the front line right now, being the generals. And the men need to get out. I'm talking about brothers, black men, need to get out the way or get to the side of them or stand right behind them to hold them up. Because you know how they always say behind every great man, every good man, there's a great woman. Behind every great woman, let it be a good man. And if it's a black woman, let it be a strong black man. You know what made me think about that was last night I was watching the interview with Abby Phillip, who I absolutely adore, CNN, Abby Phillips. She was interviewing Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, your soror.
Yes, indeed.
See, I can do that.
We just had Founders Day on the 15th.
Yes, y'all did. And I found out yesterday that the AKA is the oldest.
1908.
Sorority.
Yeah. You know the word. I was gonna say fraternity because I'm mixed up over here. This he, she, we. Because I could have did both of them. Shit. Anywho, I say that to say that when Abby was interviewing Kamala. And the husband, Tim, when he spoke about his wife, this is how you know when a man loves a woman, to me. This is my opinion. He turned and looked her in her eyes and said, "I love you. I love my wife." Do you know it was some racist white folks all over this country kicking the shit out their cat? I know they was mad as hell, baby. I know the hillbillies was shooting up every damn thing because that is something that you don't see. It's okay to sneak with a black woman. Sometimes it's okay to even have a black woman as a girlfriend, but to marry her and publicly say on such a major platform that you love this woman. And he said, "I love this black woman." He says, "I love my wife." Baby, that was powerful to me because I can remember when that was taboo. That's how old I am.
I'm going to tell you one of the best things I heard today. I was listening to NPR earlier, and they had an interview with Jim Clyburn, who I also believe to be absolutely brilliant. I think he is like one of the most underrated stars of the Democratic Party. And he just talked about King because, again, this is all part of his history as well. And he was just talking about where we are now as a country and why he still has hope and why he still believes and why he's still engaged in this process. And the interview at one point says, but, the progressive wing of the party just feels like, older Democrats are just too stuck in the ways that you all don't get it. And he never condescended. He simply said, and this is what my good brother Martin talked about, is that we're supposed to have creative conflict. And I just loved how he's like, we will never agree on how we're all supposed to get there, but I believe that we will all get there, and we all have to keep fighting to get there. So his message definitely lives on.
He, Martin Luther King it was at such a time that it was so needed, even though I was a kid, that it set a precipice for people. So we know that we could fight back and we know that we could stand up against the opposition. So that it was a great help. And I know I make jokes about everything. Y'all know who I am. But Martin Luther King is a great leader and will always be respected as a great leader in the black community and for so many white people because he did have good white people helping him. We always have good white folks. We got some messed up ones, but we got some messed up black people. Let me just go down the line. We got messed up every damn thing. Come on, Lauren, read this other quote. I like this one.
Yeah, this is another quote that Flame really loves. The quality, not the longevity of one's life is what is important. So I think there's a myriad of quotes that we probably just really hold near and dear to our hearts regarding Martin Luther King. He was very inspirational. And I think one thing that even me and my friends talk about nowadays is that it's kind of unfortunate that we don't really have like that public figure anymore. And today, like, I don't feel as though as we can say, okay, yes, this is like the Martin Luther King of this generation. This is the one who's going to lead the movement.
I think so. But they just happen to be female. We got Tamika Mallory. We have Stacey Abrams. We even Kamala. Let me tell you something. And y'all know I had my discrepancies with Kamala when she was running for president. But Kamala is sharp. She's smart. She's quick. She's insightful. She's educated. So she's going to bring, and she's not afraid to say how she feels.
I know, but I don't know if I agree with that, because I was kind of like, when Barack Obama was president, everybody, after he got out of office, everybody was like, oh, he's going to lead us to the promised land kind of thing. And I just didn't see that being his role. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, we always will differ with opinions. I just don't think we have that person yet. Tamika Mallory, she just started getting some notoriety about a year or two ago. So would always be curious to see what she has to, what she's going to end up doing. But as of now, I don't think we have that one person or even two people leading this charge for us. I don't feel that way.
What about Killer Mike?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. He's intelligent, but no.
Our Flamettes are sounding off, and one just said that one of their favorite quotes is how we must learn to live as brothers or perish as fools. And I just think that we have been flooded in the timeline with a couple of them, even as we've been speaking, that people have been sharing some of their own. And I know you'll say, and Flame, they are typing in capital letters for you. So, so people,
they know better.
Definitely sign up. I think it means a lot to a lot of people.
Okay, well, we're going to bring some people in. Are we going to be able to bring you back?
Oh, you can bring me back if you want to have people sign up.
Can I bring you back? Will you come back?
Of course I will.
Will you
I'd
grace
love to be
us
here.
with your presence, Mr. Smith?
To be in the room with two beautiful women, absolutely.
Aww.
Oh, that nigga! I pay him to say that. Y'all. Okay, we'll come back.
Hey, James.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm alive.
Oh, James,
I'm in lockdown, basically.
That's right, because you're in D.C. You're
Yeah.
right there with all the foolishness. You okay? You safe?
Yeah.
Yeah. The way they've got it set up right now is that you've got the red zone, which is military personnel, inauguration personnel only, and then the green zone, which is actually where I live, where it's restricted to no vehicle traffic starting 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I won't be able to drive anywhere. So if I have to get anywhere, my butt's walking.
Well, maybe could you speak to how things are different today? Like, I know here in LA, we normally have, the King Day parade. Everybody's out. It's really festive. It's a cultural and amazing space to be in. So, and of course, COVID is happening this year, so it's, not taking place. But what's the different feeling, not only for King Day, but also with all of the craziness that's happening in DC?
I mean, typically DC, because, MLK, beyond a lot of things, is a cultural icon.
Right.
You would have a lot of things celebrating him today where you don't have that right now. There really are no permit activities in terms of like gatherings or anything like that. You have no indoor dining. You have nothing indoors that can occur, which would typically be the things like all the museums in the area are closed. All the restaurants' interiors are closed. All the libraries are closed. So right now, unless you're trying to do something in 30-degree weather, you're really limited in what you can do, and even then, you're limited to less than 100 people in your gathering, and you can't be anywhere. The National Mall is completely under lockdown, so any of the places that would traditionally have these things, even the Martin Luther King Memorial, are all shut down because of paranoia of violence occurring over the next few days.
What's your favorite quote, James?
Actually, that was my quote that Nick read was
Okay.
that was the one I proposed. We must learn to live as brothers or perish as fools. I think for me, it's really important because as you know, I embrace diversity in everyone. And I think it's important that we do that as a culture. And that's the only way we would be able to move forward.
Okay, so James explained to y'all in the very beginning that he is, he's down with the brothers and everything. He's also down with the sisters because James likes him a black girl. James is with the black girl magic, baby. James is with the swirl ladies, just
flavor.
let y'all know.
That is true, yes. For sharing all my business, yes.
And he lets the hair down for y'all. He do that for the black girls because I know y'all black women like all that. Y'all be thinking that's Moana from, what's her name, boy, with all the hair. Yeah. You know his name. You know what I'm talking. Jason Moana with all the hair. James, I want you to stay safe in D.C.
Please
It's
stay
almost
safe.
too calm. It's like that calm before. It seems like it's just a little too quiet before Wednesday.
Yeah, I really think that if anything is going to happen, it's going to be on Wednesday where some stupidity is going to break out. My hope is that between the 25,000 National Guardsmen they expect, now the Coast Guard just arrived on the waterfront, and we're expecting 2,500 police officers from other states, and between 10 and 15,000.
Oh, Secret Service.
Thank you. So they're expecting 10 to 15,000 members of the Secret Service to be in town also.
Wow.
So the discrepancy, the disagreement that we had this morning, Nick and I was, and I talked to Kendall and Tribble, who's the producer and a photographer here, the videographer, was that because Nick was like they're quiet because they're afraid because of the National Guard and the Army and woo-woo. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what the case is at all, because they've shown that they have restraint. 40% of the military, and I'm only throwing out a number. Let me don't say a number for real, but there's a lot of them that's in uniform that should be on the other side. And if they weren't in uniform, they would be on the other side. They're not going to hurt themselves. They're not going to kill those people. They're not going to hurt those people. I don't believe that at all. I think they see themselves because they are those people. They just happen to have on their whatever uniform they're wearing that day. I don't believe they're going to hurt, because had that been a bunch of us, it would have been a massacre.
I agree with you totally. Well, thank you, James. We
James, you be
appreciate
careful.
you as
We love
always.
you.
Yes, please stay
Love you too.
safe.
I'll see you in May.
Next time I see you, I'll see you with a black girl. Her name Keisha.
Fair enough.
But I think this maybe is a good talking point, because I'm seeing some people sound off in the comments about what you just talked about in terms of the military. So why don't we bring Nick back in? We can kind of start this topic a little bit. And let's
because
see.
Nick is super pro-military. Oh,
Let's-
military.
let's
I'm with the
see.
military too, but I tell you what,
Let's kind of see. Let's have this discussion.
there's some on that other side, baby, that I ain't trusting. You said didn't they have a general or a colonel or something out there? Come on with it, Nick.
Come on, Nick. Let's share your thoughts.
Well, no, I don't want to make it sound like I don't believe that things are definitely dangerous, because I definitely believe that they are. I just don't believe that anything will happen in the next couple of days. I believe that the message is clear, that there has been a strong show of force. And I do believe in the strength of our military. And I know I move in a space of bias with that, but I genuinely believe that most of us who have taken the oath really do uphold the oath. And that is to protect the Constitution against enemies, both foreign and domestic. And I don't believe that there are a cadre of lone wolves ready to move and attack.
Which Constitution are they defending? Because there's
defending
two.
They're defending the same one that protects us, Flame. Seriously. I
That
think
one has
it's
not
easy
protected us in 400 years.
It has protected us. I think that there are always
I promise you, Nicholas, it hasn't. But we gotta go fight on TV, on camera. But I hear you, because I know you pro-military, and I love you for that, brother. But I'm telling you, Nick, that's not what it is. And I know, I just told you this in the car. I think Nick lives in a world with rose-colored glasses. He said, I do not. I think that you see what you want things to be. And I understand that, because there are things that I see that I want it to be. But what it is what it is.
Well, I'll ask this, because Nick, you talk about the Constitution. You do understand when the Constitution was written, it was not black people of color. I'll just say that were not included when that was written.
Yeah, we were a third of a
That came after the Constitution was written.
It came after. That was the ratification, yeah. But absolutely. But I also understand that the Constitution also, Lauren, is a living, breathing document. The idea is it also didn't anticipate that there would be 50 states, right? And like everything else, we grow and we learn. I definitely believe also that the Constitution did not mean to exclude women. And I also believe that the Constitution did not ever see a world where a woman would possibly ascend to the second highest office in the land. I don't think that what we can do is move in a space where we don't believe and move in a way and operate in a way that we know we belong. And I believe that there are men and women who serve this country because they too believe in this country and its promise. I among them. But I'm not one of those who are out there today. But I do believe that there are good men and women, many of whom are 17, 18, leaving home for the first time, who really do believe in the promise of this country and what it has to offer for people like me, like all of us. Yeah.
Well, not everybody
Absolutely.
in the military.
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
say
saying
everybody in the military is
but
bad
there is a
apple.
great quantity of people that are racist in the military, and they just take their uniforms off. They still go home to who they are. You can't leave you by putting on a uniform. When I take this dress off, Marcus Parker's still up under here.
And I think that there are a great number of people who are racist who happen to also possibly be in the military. I think that what we can't do is say that the military somehow attracts racists or something. And I guess that's where I'm just trying to draw a distinction.
No, you're taking it somewhere else. You're taking it somewhere else.
Okay.
Come back.
Well, you were saying
come back.
you were making it sound like people in the military are racist. And I'm saying
Not
that's
every.
not true.
I didn't say everyone. I said there's a good quantity.
Wait,
of
what does
people
that mean?
are.
What does good quantity mean? 5%, 10%?
Enough of them that if they're not going to kill white people and the white people that racist, the protesters that came last week are not afraid of the military because they don't have to be. See, that's not us. This is what you're missing. They don't have to be. They've never been in a position, and showed last week when the police and all the law enforcement in this country, when they shot Jacob Blake in his goddamn back 7 times, and he said he wasn't meaning to kill him. Well, what else was you meaning to do? He was unarmed walking away, but here is all this barrage of white people. Nobody had guns out. They had their poles, they had their flags, they had their paint on their face. Y'all had guns, battalions, you had shields. Nobody ever attacked them. Nobody rushed them. In fact, they ran from them or took pictures with them or opened the door like they were giving them the key to the city. I don't want you to think that I'm attacking the military. I also don't want you to think that they are completely innocent of this. That was an inside job. Nobody knew where Nancy Pelosi's office was because that place is like a fucking cavern. That was an inside job. And when they get through, they can be mad at me. You know I don't give 2 fucks. Because guess what? I got paid already. Anywho, come on.
And I'm going to just say this too. You know, the military was not established to protect people of color. Like, we just got to say it is what it is. They just weren't. It just wasn't ingrained in their foundation. So it wasn't surprising for me to see what took place because that's not what was taught to them when that establishment was created, or that body of government, whatever we want to call them, was established. It just wasn't. And it's no shade, Nick. I know that you're a veteran and I appreciate everything that you did for this country, but you were one of the anomalies. You really are. Everybody is not like that.
But you also know the military was not there on the 6th.
But wait a minute. But yeah.
The military was there on the 6th.
Let's go back to the military. Let's go back to the military was only created and allowed black people to come in because they were putting us on the front line to die first. They were told way back in the day, you can't even kill a white person, even if they are on the other side.
Right.
So understand that we have been collateral damage a long time. Long time. I'm not throwing the military up under the bus, but there are racists on both sides. Ain't that true? On both sides?
That would have definitely been a bus. But you know, if you're saying that it was created and we were collateral damage, Flav, I'm not sure what else one would call that. But,
no. I wasn't revoking on that. I'm saying it's not all bad military now. We were created so we could be on the front lines because their soldiers were dying. They were dying, but even with us having guns and them shooting at us, we were not allowed to kill a white person, even if they were on the opposite side. So when they had the Civil War in the very beginning, the black people that were soldiers in the military were not. They was allowed to stand there as barricades, but they couldn't kill the opposition, even because they were white. Oh, I'm read about it. You know, I read sometimes.
Yeah, but it's across all things. It's the military. You know, I even have conversations with my dad about the fire department, the police department. There's always a subliminal, just kind of foundation, and it's so sad to say, of just racism that's built in these institutions. And like I even told
those unions
yes.
are a different animal entirely. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Okay, but I mean, I say that to say that there's social media groups of just these. They're really just these races that are within these, bodies. And we even saw it with, the different uprisings that happened on the 6th, even at the Capitol here in Sacramento. There were 4 retired LAFD, firemen that were there.
Sure.
Supporting Trump. So I'm just saying I just feel like we can't just say like, oh no, it's the military is not bad, or, oh, this group isn't bad. You guys have a lot of bad apples. You really just do, because that's how you guys were founded. It is what it is.
I guess what I wanted to make sure I was clear on is that not only will there not be an incident this week, I just want to make sure we're clear. There will not be an incident. And
but how do you know that?
I believe in this. I don't move in a space where I don't have faith in our institution. I genuinely believe democracy prevails, and I genuinely believe the men and women of the military and those who have been enacted to protect President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will keep them safe. I just believe that. And I'm not negating the dark cloud you all bring. I'm just saying that I do believe in the power of the institution.
Now, if something goes down Wednesday, the Flamettes gonna come here next week and blaze your ass.
Oh, I'm sure. And it'll be the same ones who told me that I should be washing chicken before I cook it.
No, they said wash your meat. They didn't say nothing about no chicken. They said your meat, dear. And last week he showed the meat. I'm just letting y'all know.
So I just believe that they've got this covered. I don't believe this is one where you mess it up. I really don't. But we will see, right?
I just want to know where you live. Where you live?
I'm just saying, you're saying nothing's going to happen, but there's already instances of things happening. Like there's a woman that showed up with firearms to the gate saying that she was a part of the presidential cabinet with a fake credential trying to get in, and they had to send her to the psych ward. So
exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Lauren, when I tell you that again, and I know this is much further into this topic than we had planned on. I just think that to dismiss the protocols and things, I think a valuable lesson was learned last Wednesday. I really do.
But that's
And
what
I
they
think
did. They did dismiss protocols last Wednesday. That's exactly what they did.
But what I'm saying, a lot of protocols and things were missed last Wednesday. That will not be the case this week. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no doubt in my
Why?
mind.
Because you think it's too many eyes on it.
Oh, I also believe in the power of the institution. I genuinely believe there are a lot of people, there are a lot of good people who are involved in bad institutions and bad groups who say, you know what, this is not who we are. I genuinely believe a number of people were embarrassed, mortified, horrified, disgusted by what they saw last Wednesday. That
And
is
guess
not
what?
what it's
Go back.
does.
Those people that were embarrassed were at home, because the people who was not embarrassed was at the Capitol.
There were a lot of people there with their families, Flame, who were very upset and frightened and really thought that their lives they really feared for their lives last Wednesday. There have been a lot of lawmakers who have spoken up saying, whoa, what just happened? I was not expecting this when we're hearing gunfire.
So why were they there, Nicholas? Because they got the call from the top to march on Washington, to do whatever you needed to do to be forceful. So you take your children out there. Racism is a learned behavior. I don't have no sympathy for the people who was out there with their children. You taught your children to hate. You taught your children to hurt people because they didn't look like you or they didn't move like you. You taught your children to hate. Say what you want to, because they keep trying to say racism and mental illness is the same shit. Mental illness you could be born with, or you take the wrong vaccine. Hate is a learned behavior that you learn from whoever raised you
I
or
agree.
whoever you're around.
Yeah.
So don't give me that. They had their children out there. What were they trying to show? That was treason. You were attacking your own government and country. They were going to kill Nancy Pelosi and Cortez if they could have got a hold of them. They were going to kill Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Somebody who looks like them.
I meant lawmakers who were there to certify the vote had family members there, and they're like, whoa, what is happening there on both sides of the aisle, who were just horrified by what happened. And I do think that there may have been those who were there to demonstrate who did not know things were going to go that far. I do believe that there are, Flame, I do believe that there are decent people who support Donald Trump.
Let me tell you something. You've been smoking that shit. Because they were told to march on the Capitol by Trump.
Right.
And they were told, I don't know the exact words that he said, but whatever it was, we got to fight or something. It was something to that capacity,
Right.
where they were going with anger and with rage to fight. I'm not buying what they were selling, so I don't feel sorry for none of them. They shouldn't have had their dumb ass out there. I'm mad at them for climbing the walls with no net. What they thought they was, Spider-Man?
Or Mario. That was a funny meme.
Well, I
that
do
came out
want
of
to
that.
move. This is the perfect time to segue into Jacob Blake, because we did say that we wanted to touch on this there, because I do feel like that deserves a little more fleshing out. There is no gray area.
Before you go there, acknowledge the black officer that
Yeah, I was
led
gonna
them
say,
away.
yeah. Let's talk
Let's
about
acknowledge him.
Officer Eugene
We had that down to
Goodman.
end on a high note, but we can do
Well,
that
we can
now.
go back to something else, but let's not. They keep skipping over him. We don't
Yeah.
want to skip over
Yeah.
him. It's kind of like they did Breonna Taylor. They kept skipping over her.
Yeah.
We don't want to skip over him. What was
Yes.
his name?
Officer Eugene Goodman. So he was a black officer who faced down a mostly white mob at the Capitol. More so, he led this mob away from the senators so that way they could all go to safety. So like you said, we don't praise him enough, because we've said this. If he was a white officer, he would be getting all these accolades. He'd be on the news more. So we want to make sure that we're honoring this amazing black officer for risking his life to make sure he was protecting those senators, that they could get to safety. So thank you for what you
and
did.
never drew his weapon. Never drew his weapon. I just think that's amazing. He had his sidearm, never drew it, purposely pushed, led them away. And again, a veteran of he served twice in Iraq, 2 tours in Iraq. So it's just.
That's your perfect segue to go to Jacob, because Eugene never drew his weapon. Now they have shot Sandra Bland and so many others because they said that their life was in peril. So they had with no weapons being. This was a mob after this black man who had a weapon to shoot and kill, and contained himself. So, and didn't do anything. So that goes back to the whole refund and defund, or reform and defund the police department. This man was trained and had the mindset to say, hey, I can de-escalate this. I can talk this down. I can make this work for me, which he did. Because had he went on a shooting rampage, he'd have
been fired and been in jail.
He'd be in jail. He wouldn't be fired. So again with the whole guy who shot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times, because he said he wasn't trying to kill Jacob Blake, shooting him in the back 7
And to be
times.
clear, there is a move to push Eugene Goodman for the Congressional Gold Medal. So
Yes.
that is the highest civilian honor. So yeah, Jacob Blake. This one, I don't even know. The long and short of it is the cop who shot him was cleared. And I think that most people felt like some charges would be brought in some form. And how, a jury sat there and said, because it was convened before a grand jury, and that, Lauren, help me, was that indeed the case, or did the DA just decide not to
The DA
charge?
determined there wasn't enough evidence to bring charges.
Gotcha.
That was on the DA. He made that decision. So, I mean, Jacob Blake is one example. You know, we talked about Breonna Taylor. It's just now happening that the officers that were involved in, her murder are officially being fired. But we have these instances of, police coming after, these people of color and no charges being drawn. So it is a good parallel to draw, though, because we say, like, we have Flame said this. We've had, police officers go into these communities of color. They're not familiar. They don't know how to handle the situation. I've said myself too, when somebody's in distress, I call the fire department before I call the police department, because the fire department is trained to deal with these situations, whether they're paramedic or even just, regular firemen. They're more equipped to deal with situations of mental distress. So, it's an interesting parallel to draw because, like we said, with the insurrection that happened on January 6th, guns were drawn, people were out, nobody was shot, nobody was killed because, they weren't viewed as a threat, interestingly enough. But a man of color who is actually having a mental breakdown and is trying to walk back to his children gets shot in the back 7 times. It's not a big deal. So
Now, to be clear, 5 people did die last, which I think is part of the whole shock. Because again, Secret Service took no time blowing what's her name away the minute she came through that window.
she had a
We told
gun.
you to
She was shooting. Like, I mean, at that point, if they didn't shoot her, I would be baffled. What was her name? Abby. What was her last name?
Yeah, I don't believe she was armed, Lauren. I think that she was just denying the order. They kept saying, do not, do not, do not. And she kept proceeding anyway.
And she was ex-military. I have a question. She posted before she went to the whole thing
She
and
sure
said
did.
that there is nothing that will stop us. You think that bullet's name was nothing?
You know what?
I know who. I also know not to climb through nobody else's window because I was raised right.
And the irony
May she
is
rest
that-
in peace. I said what I said. I'm not saying that. But let me tell you something. You can't go and do these things and don't think that there's not going to be some kind of repercussions. Because even when as much as I thought that the police or whoever had a part in it, some of them anyway, I'm not going to let you kill me because you're trying to prove a point. So
Right.
whatever officer shot her, whether she had the gun or not, they obviously felt like they were in danger. And because she was an ex-Marine or something, right?
Yeah.
Air Force.
Yeah,
She was
Air Force.
highly trained, so you don't know what she was capable of. Even with her diction, sometimes it's not about the way you grab at people, your aggression. It's the way you speak, and she could have came off professional, aggressive, scary. Who knows what the situation was? But in that instance, if I have to make a choice between your life and my life, every time, nigga, you lose.
I know that the minute she made a step through that window into the chamber, that's when he fired that one round, took her out in the neck, and dropped. And it's, one of the things we have learned since then, that she was already kind of struggling financially. And the idea was, she felt like Trump was the one to help,
Trump put her in
with whom she
Trump,
identified.
Trump broke her ass. That's what she didn't see. Trump was the one who put her in a financial crisis. Let me
Exactly.
tell you something. I need people to stop using it as a crutch to all people, not just white folks, black folks, everybody. Y'all stop saying, "Oh, I ain't had no money, so I was depressed." You can always find a way to make some money. Honestly, you will always be able to find. If you got any kind of hustle in you, you can. That's not an excuse for you to go out and hurt people. Black folks been broke. We was broken for years. We wasn't going out and hurt people. They love to say that black folks
Absolutely.
the most dangerous people on the world. The most dangerous. Black folks, for the most part, we just want to be cool. We just want to be on
Right.
chill.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. I
That's
completely
y'all
agree.
angry asses. What y'all mad
Yeah.
at? Cause I'm
Yeah.
a pretty nigga. That's what you mad at? Get over it.
I want to give a shout out because we were talking about Stand Your Ground. This topic was introduced to me by one of our Flamettes. You can find her on Instagram at JJRock06. This is Miss Jatera Lockhart. Jatera, I hope I'm pronouncing your first name right, but she's a student at Philander Smith College here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And she brought the topic to my attention because here in Little Rock, Arkansas, there's a bill moving forward to amend Stand Your Ground. Right now, you have to be under a reasonable degree of threat. And what they want to do is they're like, nope, the fact that you step on my property, we want to lower the standard of what it is, what is required for me to pull my gun and actually shoot you. I don't need to be threatened by you. Is what they want to argue. I don't need to be threatened by you. The very fact that you're in my presence, that you may or may not be armed, I still get to pull on you first. Right now, as it stands, before Flame can just unload on me, I have to make a threat, or Flame has to feel like there's a threat for her life and Flame is being attacked, and it has to be credible. And I have to have a weapon. But what they want to do is they want to remove that. That no, the person threatening you does not have to have a weapon and does not have to have a verbal or physical threat that you can just unload. This is Stand Your Ground as it stands moving forward here in Arkansas.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of talked about this yesterday, the three of us, but Stand Your Ground has always kind of been something very prevalent in the South. So I was surprised to hear that you, in Arkansas, where you are, Nick, that wasn't already, in law. But Stand Your Ground is always going to be a topic of conversation. It was an issue with George Zimmerman and him shooting Trayvon Martin. It was even Stand Your Ground was an issue with Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, thought there was a no-knock warrant. There was intruders coming in. He was defending his household and ended
there
up
was
getting
no
arrested
announcement made that they were police.
Thank you. Stand Your Ground is just always going to be something of issue and something that's always going to be biased, because at the end of the day, if it's a cop or whatever the situation may be, with the right skin color, you automatically get this qualified immunity. So,
and Lauren, help me. Was it Florida or Atlanta where you had that? Remember help me here. I'm not trying to make it the white guy. He told a girl, she was parked in the handicap, "You need to move. You need to move." And she was ignoring him. Her boyfriend came out, and he said and then he just unloaded on the guy, and the guy hadn't even. You remember that?
I remember. I don't remember what
ago.
City that was in, though.
I don't remember where it was either. But it's just one of those things where I feel like it's so murky now. And what I think has some people concerned is that Arkansas, some may not know, has the second highest rate of gun ownership in the United States, second only to the state of Alaska. A lot of people think it'd be Texas, but Texas is not. It's Arkansas. So in the last 6 months, there's been a run on guns and ammunition. Believe it or not, it is almost impossible to find ammunition for weaponry now, because there are a lot of people who believe the Biden-Harris administration will either make it more difficult to own a gun or raise taxes on guns. So there's just been a rush. And the spate of violence across the United States has encouraged a lot of people to say, you know what, maybe I need to be a little prepared, because folks now are raiding the Capitol. I don't know what they may do to my little, condo here in downtown Arkansas.
Well, a couple of things. One, I see that the city you're referring to is Florida. So thank you everyone in the comments for sounding off on that. It was Florida. But I'm a firm believer in arming yourself. I have a shotgun in my house that's loaded at all times. So I'm a firm believer in that. I'm just saying you have to protect and defend what's yours.
Stand your ground. What does stand your ground mean to you? Let me tell you what stand your ground mean to me. I just said it. If there's ever a question, if it comes down to if it's me or if it's you, I will always choose me. And that is just how it is. And because self-preservation is the first law of nature. If I feel like you're going to hurt me because of what I look like or you don't understand, that has absolutely nothing to do with me. But if you think that you're going to hurt me, baby, I watch enough Law and Order SVU and Chicago BT, I'm going to get away with some shit. Did y'all not see Paris is Burning, where Dorian Corey was the tranny who was putting her makeup on the whole time? After she died, they found a dead body in a trunk that had been in her closet for over 20 years. Bitch, I'm a tranny. Trannies are the most ingenious people on the planet. We gonna get away with some shit. Understand me. That baby, Big Brother ain't got to know what happened, because I ain't gonna tell nobody. See, Dorian Corey was smart. She didn't tell nobody shit. She died. That nigga was still in the closet dead. Must have been some trade that went left and he went right. Come at me sideways if you want to. I'm gonna straighten your ass up, baby.
Well, you are absolutely ridiculous.
Stand your ground is just what it is. And my problem with that they let George Zimmerman get away with that, you know who I partially blame? Not blame for the whole incident, because it was completely his fault, 100%. But the mother, let me tell you something. To parents of children who are murdered by the police, and it's completely wrong, and you know it. Stop letting lawyers and stop letting people get in your head and tell you that you got to get on TV and speak a certain way, or you got to. If you hurt one of my children, any emotion that I feel at that moment, I have no control over because it's authentic. I may take you on a roller coaster of emotions: hate, anger, bitterness, hurt, pain. I may yell and scream. I may laugh and think about a great moment that I shared with that child at that time. I'm not going to let nobody get in my ear and say, well, you speaking for the community. You a black person. Everybody's watching you. We going to get you $10 million. I don't give a damn about your money. I want my baby. So I don't like that. And I thought that Trayvon's Martin's mother, she kept her composure. She was very professional and cool. But I'm sure that she had rage and hurt. And we didn't get a chance to see that because I think that would resonate with regular people across the board, not just black folks, but everybody. Because if you are a parent, then you know the level of love that comes with being a parent. If you are not a parent, you don't know. You'll never know how much you will sacrifice or how much you will love until you have your own biological child. I said that because I'm a real parent. So anybody say, well, I adopted a child. I love them just the same. I ain't never adopted no kids, so I don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Yeah, I had a comment, but I'm not a parent, so I'm going to just shut up.
Good. See, I shut Lori up, y'all. I shut up Lori. That's an inside joke.
We were talking about workplace vaccination, and I already know
Oh, go
this is
ahead.
going to get fucked, but I just thought it was interesting.
We
since
have
you
a
like to
teachable
talk
moment.
so much,
No,
since you like to talk so much, we're going to let you have these first 3 minutes.
It's a teachable moment.
Please explain
so
to
have
us.
your teachable moment.
Please explain to them what you told us yesterday on the phone.
I think it's a good teachable moment for everybody. This is what the show's about.
Workplace vaccination, we're talking about specifically Dollar General is planning to pay their employees to get vaccinated. Dollar General, for some of our Flamettes or listeners who may not know, is a chain of stores that tend to be more popular in areas and communities that I live in right now. I live in downtown Little Rock. So it's more urban, and it's not as upscale as suburbia would be, or Long Beach where Flame and Lauren live, so it serves a certain community, a certain demographic. Within that demographic, there are people who are less likely to respond positively when you ask them to put on a mask, or if you ask them, have they been vaccinated, they're less likely to be vaccinated. So what Dollar General has decided to do is they say, hey, how do we protect our employees? They're offering to pay their employees to get the vaccination. Since you are going to be working in these communities where it can be a challenge, and the members of that community may or may not be vaccinated themselves, may or may not respond positively to you asking them to wear a mask, we would like to protect our employees, and we're going to pay you to do it, to take the vaccine. So one of the things we talked about yesterday was just whether or not that was a good idea. How do you
No, you had a come
respond?
to Jesus moment with the vaccine yesterday. Please explain to them.
Oh, we talked about that earlier.
No, we did not. You didn't tell them
Flame
what you
kinda
said to
skirted
us.
around it.
I went
Let's
around.
bring
We
it
want to
back.
hear your
Yeah.
take on the vaccine because it changed yesterday for some reason.
But my take on the vaccine with this new super virus definitely changed. Before, my attitude was simple. I believed in the science. You made it clear. Okay, Operation Warp Speed, you've got this together. You're ready to knock out COVID that came along and got us in January of 2020. Now here we are in 2021. You've talked about this new strain. Oh yeah, that Operation Warp Speed, the virus, the antibody that we created, and the vaccine we created. Oh, Nick, you'll be fine. It works for this one too.
Mike.
And that's when I said, wait a minute. Hold up. How, you didn't even know this one was there. You had this one roll out. But here's my biggest issue. Initially, and this is where I have a problem, because I'm listening to you. I want to advocate for you. I want to help my community get vaccinated. You told us we needed 2 shots of the Moderna vaccine. Now, we already sent them out. We don't have that second one. You're going to be fine with 1 shot. Not only are you going to be fine with 1 shot, that 1 shot you have may work on this new strain of this new super virus that's even more contagious. So it's really, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out as we go. And I was
Look,
like,
let me have my Dr. Fauci moment. Ain't that what that nigga did on TV?
You've got to understand that people, that causes confusion and skepticism and doubt. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was cheering for you all and I want to be there and I want to say, Mom, you should do this. And now you've got me questioning.
Miss Rosetta, don't do it, girl. Miss Rosetta, don't you take that shit.
My mother said she would take it in 2025.
Let me go back
Okay.
to this. Let me let Lauren have it so I can shut y'all
Well,
down with this.
I'm going to be Switzerland here really quickly and say this is why we call this show Laugh and Learn, because we've had discussions about the vaccine. Flame and I have always been against it, and Nick, you were for it. But like you said, you've done your research, you looked into it more to see if you think it would be good for you. And now with all this misinformation, you realize it's not something that you want to do. And moreover, there's more strains coming out. There's a South African strain now, there's a UK strain now, and there's like 3 different strains that are all of a sudden out there. And I sent you guys even a video last night showing that there's a batch of Moderna vaccines that came to California that are causing people to have allergic reactions. It's 330,000 bad cases of a vaccine. So anyway, moral of the story, Nick had a come to Jesus moment yesterday, y'all, and is officially on this side and is not taking the vaccine as of today.
Okay, now let the ignorant one speak. That would be me. If you did not see the movie I Am Legend, it was about a vaccine based on the year 2021. Y'all think what y'all want to about that nigga, West Philadelphia born and raised, but that nigga was on to something, y'all. I'm telling you now, I ain't taking it. And here's my thing, niggas. If this is one virus before the new strain come out, if it was one virus, why we got 14 companies coming up with different vaccines? While one company, one government-funded company, American company with our own tax dollars, didn't just create one vaccine for everybody. Now we got Moderna, Pfizer,
yeah,
all these,
yeah.
and then more companies coming
BioNTech.
out. And then they just posted that 23 people died in one day. And where was that at? In some other country.
Yeah.
They said they were older, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
was
Don't
over
mean
in
I
the
want to
UK.
die.
And Flame, like you mentioned, just because they died, do we know it was COVID? Or did they
Exactly.
have some
Y'all
other
act like
comorbid-
people
I
ain't
got
dying
you.
from heart
Yeah.
attacks and strokes
Yeah.
and walking into buildings and shit. Yeah, anything still happen. Car accidents. They just make everything COVID.
Well, this is my main thing, and I said this to you guys yesterday. China, this whole virus supposedly originated in Wuhan. China didn't have to give their folks vaccines for them to get better. They didn't have to. But in this country, and I'm just going to say this, pharma greed is real and just rampant. That's what this is. And it's so unfortunate that money and greed comes before protecting your citizens. China did what they were supposed to do and protected their citizens, even though, let's say the virus originated there. We don't know I'm not saying that emphatically, but that's what's in the news. Here, we're just going to put citizens at risk because it profits us in the end. That's just kind of what I can't get with. Same reason why I say I still don't get a flu shot.
You know why
Just don't.
You know why Chinese people? Because Asian people are some of the most disciplined people on the planet, and those Chinese people have been trained since birth. This is a dictatorship. This is what you're gonna do. When we tell you not to come out the house after 5 o'clock, don't leave your house or we're gonna shoot
That's
you.
true.
And I heard they were releasing tigers and hungry tigers in China. So take
I don't
your
know
ass out
about
at
that.
5 o'clock if you want to.
don't
They're
know
gonna
about
have
that.
them tigers gonna eat some Chinese food, bitch. They're gonna eat your ass.
I don't know about that.
But what I'm
yeah.
saying is that they are very disciplined
Yes.
people. And
Right.
I said on here before when we talked about this, Americans just do not want to be told what to do. None of us want nobody telling us what to do. We want to do it our way. Our way. So we're
Or
finding out that
democracy.
our way is not always the right way.
But I mean,
What I-
we
I
still
just
are a
wanna-
democracy at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and
Yeah.
that is part of it. But
Yeah.
to what's happening, misinformation and everything
Yeah.
else, now we're here. So
I encourage people, and speaking of misinformation, there literally came out yesterday that misinformation in the last week dropped by 72% once Donald Trump was off, because they've been going after people who've been spreading misinformation. I think people need to read more. I do know that the whole idea behind the vaccine was never to stop you from getting it. It's to reduce your chances of dying should you become positive with COVID-19. So I just encourage all of our listeners to read and speak to their own healthcare provider about what is the best choice for them and their body. So
well, and
there
I'll
we
also
go.
say this too. It's fact that there are people that have taken the COVID vaccine and are still testing positive. So think about that. That's all I'm saying. That's a fact. That's not something I think. That's something I know. So
And y'all
just
running around
saying
here
that.
taking off y'all masks. Y'all all down there fighting, and y'all all up in D.C. last week pushing and touching all on each other. Ain't none of y'all took no COVID test. Y'all need to knock it off. All of and then y'all putting them in jail. Did y'all test them before y'all put them in jail? That's my thing. Did you test them? Because
Right.
if you arrested some of these people who were at this event that's what it was. It was an event. That was an event for them. Oh, it was tragic. It was so disheartening. Bitch, that wasn't even. I had my popcorn and got my life. That was an event for them. Let me say what I said. But did you test them before you put them in jail? Because remember a couple of weeks ago where they arrested that black man in Virginia, the 2 officers, and they didn't have a mask on, and they arrested him and thought that he was in the mall stealing. He was with his wife and kid. They didn't have masks on. He tested positive a few days later for COVID virus that he caught from those police officers. So you arrested these people who did all this foolishness last week in D.C., but before you put them in jail and exposed all these innocent prisoners who weren't there at that event, did you test their asses? Because they should have been isolated somewhere else if they tested positive. Real talk.
Yeah, that's true. And
nobody ain't talking about that. Y'all, don't get me mad. I had a gummy too. Yeah, okay, what happened?
But before we go, you did want to make sure that we hit those numbers in L.A. Just talking about what's happening in L.A. right now.
How many? This is why you're not here. How many we just hit?
So LA was one of the first states, or LA County, I'm sorry, was one of the first counties to hit 1 million cases. And California overall, we have over 30,000 deaths.
Yeah.
So LA County, California, we are really at the forefront. We're like the new New York. We're almost like the epicenter of this virus now.
Wow.
And it's pretty crazy. And I got a fact check. I was watching MSNBC earlier today. Now all of a sudden they had a runner across the bottom saying that we have 3 million cases here. So I got to fact check that to see if that's accurate. I know for sure that we hit 1 million over the weekend.
And y'all have to understand, I know you want to see your loved ones. And I'm telling you, I said this before, Nick has not eyeballed his mom in what, 2 years? Has it been 2 years? 2 years. He has not, imagine not seeing, I ain't saying man in 3, but I was mad at her ass. Anyway, not seeing your mama that you're a mama's boy and Nicholas is a mama's boy. So I know some of y'all want to see your parents, but you have to understand.
I'm hard.
When the parents tell you that you can't come, they're not telling you to protect them. Yeah. They're telling you to protect your heart. Because if you come and your parents get sick after you going to visit them because you needed to see them, and then they end up getting sick and dying, the guilt that you will live with, that's all she's trying to save you from. That's all she's trying to save you from. She ass on here watching that. Hey, Miss Rosetta, girl. She on here watching that. You know, and I know what you're doing, Miss Rosetta. You're an older woman like myself. So I know what you're doing. You're saving your baby's feelings, and you know how overly sensitive your baby is. You know that's a big old crybaby. But he wants to see you, and I know you want to see him, but sometimes you have to step outside of that I want to see my parent, because the older people are more likely to get it and die. And you don't want to walk around with that. You be walking around here crazy as Kanye. They be stirring a cup of your ass like they did and Get Out.
You said what you said. Right? Okay.
Nick, can you please answer this one question for the viewers? They keep asking, are you single? Can we let's get this out here right now?
No, we're dating. You didn't tell them that we were dating,
Nick. See, there you go. No, I am, just put it out there. You know, I'm twice divorced, but right now I am definitely single. I live in Little Rock alone.
Okay, Flamettes, there's your answer. So stop asking. Yeah. Okay,
now
y'all know.
Y'all want y'all some of that big. Y'all know his screen name is Big Black.
But ain't nobody trying to come to Arkansas to be with me. So we got to make something happen.
But not till you not till you get a gun. You say y'all got more guns in Arkansas than anybody else. I think everybody there got one, but you playing shit. I know Pookie Ray them in Arkansas too. They live on King Drive. You know, Martin Luther King in every neighborhood is the black neighborhood. Baby, I know every city that they got Martin Luther King Drive is the black neighborhood. I know some brothers that live on King.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
Very true.
Very true.
We were talking about work culture, just so Flamettes know what we're talking about, because many of them may know this very well, because we know we have those in every age group, that how the work culture today has changed and has been designed to accommodate a new workforce. Specifically, what we were talking about is how managers today who are doing hiring, friends of mine who work for different Fortune 500 companies like Apple or Amazon, they've had to hire people who are Lauren's age and speak to them about work-life balance, a topic that never came up when I entered the workforce, as in now managers have to take into consideration, am I giving Lauren enough personal time to balance what she needs to do so that she can be her best creative self when she comes here to work? And those are things that were just beyond the pale when we entered the workforce, Flame.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this to you guys too. I know from experience that It's true. It is. And especially, when you're in departments like marketing and in all these different creative spaces and you have these younger generations now, it is something that has to be considered. 9 to 5 and salaried employees, all of these things have to be negotiated and worked through because some people really feel like I need to have some type of separation from my job when I go home. Me, for instance, for the company that I work for, you guys all know, I don't have that. Yes, I'm salaried, so I work around the clock. Flame knows that. She can call me anytime. I'm always working. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I need a moment. But that's just how things are, And I work in a nonprofit sector. I don't work in corporate America. That was a conscious decision that I made because I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to work for a greater purpose. So it is something that is discussed more and more. And it also just depends on who you are as a person and what you want to do. Work-life balance is not as much of a priority when it came to me. I wanted to enjoy what I was doing, so I made that decision. But to your point, that is something that's very real and something that I've experienced and witnessed in the workplace.
And it's also changed, Lauren. I think the days of working for a company my mother worked for and retired from Illinois Bell after being there 30 years, the idea of being with the same employer for 30 years just isn't the reality of today's workforce
it's not.
At all. And so she retired with the pension and, all of that. Pension, what's that? If you don't start that 401k when you enter in now, it's a wrap. I don't think most companies even offer, a few do, but the majority expect you to save on your own. So it's definitely changed.
My biggest issue out of all of this that y'all talking about with the workforce is Lauren said the younger generation. This heifer 25 talking about the younger generation that work. 18-year-olds don't even work. They still live in my house spending my money. Oh, that's my personal shit. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I never had to work in corporate America. I never had to dance for Mr. Charlie, as Auntie T.T. Janet would say. I never had to do that because I was always an entertainer and pretty much freelance. So I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't do good in spaces like that because I've never had to work in those spaces. You can't talk to me any kind of way because of how I view myself and how I treat myself. So, and I know sometimes in corporate America, you have to put your head down. You have to take it because it's your livelihood. And then people speak and you can't get another job here. Or you can't get a job there because somebody has put out a bad word about you. That happens in entertainment as well. But it's very different. So I don't understand. I don't know that, but I would be mortified if I'm on this job 20 years. I've trained everyone up under me, but because I don't have a college degree or because I'm not highly educated or don't speak on the level that you think that I should speak of, even though I've been doing this job successfully for 20 years, you bring in somebody younger because they have more qualifications on paper, not skill, not experience, because you can't buy that. You can't buy that. But you give them a higher position than me, and so now they become my boss. I would have a problem with this bitch coming in here being my boss because she got an HBCU and I ain't got jack. And I know plenty of niggas at HBCU. I ain't got no degree from them, but I got some other things from them. But she gonna get more money than me? Oh no, I would have a problem with that. No, that's serious to me.
I think also in the area of entertainment, you and I have talked personally about how we have seen different shows and venues, the different brunches that we used to go to. They'll hire girls who have done different shows, and then we're sitting there as audience members watching the show, doing our best to stay awake until you come on the stage. But because you have not done that show, people are like, well, they've done that show. They're amazing. And then they realize, whoa, them in real life isn't the same thing I just watched them edit for that TV show that I may have been watching. Like, whoa. This is different.
Let me say
We've had this. We've had no. I'm gonna say it. Because Flame and I have had this conversation. That's the other thing that just goes back to checking somebody's resume. Because to what you just said, for instance, Nick, you should know that live theater and television is not the same thing. And if you don't know that's just ignorance, and you haven't done your homework. So that's the first thing that I'll say. That's really just that made my skin crawl. Anyway, sorry, but to honestly, all of what we're talking about, though, it's just it is what it is now. Like Flame said, I do have an HBCU degree, even though it's becoming more critically acclaimed now. Once upon a time, having a degree from an HBCU was saying that, oh, you didn't actually get a real education. So it's interesting to see how times change and how things, evolve. But to everything that you guys are saying, that is not the situation anymore in the workplace. It's just not. Things evolve. It's just changing.
Lauren, I want to piggyback off of that. And the only reason I want to stop that, because we never know who's listening. And I just want to say this. One thing I grew up with HBCUs, this was always the case, that everyone I knew who attended an HBCU always made sure you knew they went to an HBCU, that there is a pride that comes with attending an HBCU that I mean, I love the school I went to. Everybody's college experience is unique to them. But relatives of mine who went to Shaw, who went to North Carolina A&T, or went to Morehouse, the first thing that came out of their mouth was reminding you that they went to an HBCU, because I do think that HBCUs are unique in instilling in their students the value of their education and the value of community. So I don't know that it ever did not have shine. I think that what has happened is different Fortune 500 companies have recognized the value and the work ethic that those who are graduates from HBCUs bring, that they are extremely driven and tend to be extremely competitive, whereas others kind of float on, well, I did my graduate work at Harvard. So you are just in by proxy, and then you realize, oh, wow, any idiot can get a degree.
Well, let me just clarify a couple of things. One, amongst us, it's always been a pride going to an HBCU. I always say there's no place like Spelman. There really isn't. And everybody's going to say that about their individual HBCU. That's their experience. But I would just say Spelman is the number one HBCU in the country. But anyway, to your...
a cousin Howard grad, and he will remind you, oh, Nick, you do know the center of the universe revolves around Howard.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
Well, Howard is the hot spot right now because our vice president-elect, Senator Vice President Kamala Harris. Stacey Abrams came through.
From Spelman.
Yeah,
but anyway, but back to what you were saying, Nick, is though it's the outside world, and I hope everybody understands what I mean by outside world, is understanding now just how competitive, to your point, and how really difficult it is to matriculate through an HBCU. It's not like we're getting a pass or, it's an easier time. More so to the point where some of these white folks and their parents are like, well, maybe I can just send you there because maybe I can pay a little less than what I have to pay a Harvard or a Stanford, and you get that same education and you come out and you're a part of something else. So it looks like I support diversity and inclusion. So that's really what's happening now too, is, some of these white folks are getting a little smart and like, oh, maybe I can send my kid to an HBCU because I realize it's a real degree.
Some of the white folks are just buying the tests and getting caught later. Oh, Lori, what was her name who just got out of jail?
Lofton.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying because I was going to buy my kids the college degree, but the white folks ain't got caught, so the jig is up because shit.
You know what? Actually, let me jump on you with that, because your children are smart enough, they won't need you to buy them a degree. I think people think your kids
are as ghetto as I am.
I didn't say that. We don't.
You said it off live. You said it off live. I know you. Rosetta, get your baby. Get your son. I never went to college because, I was doing other things. Although I did have a 4-year scholarship to Bethune-Cookman in Florida when I graduated high school for music. Because a lot of people don't know I was a very talented musician. Probably why I love music so much. And if y'all join me on Love Lounge, y'all will see why. But I didn't want to go to college because I didn't have that support system at home. My mom, my mom was on drugs and doing her thing. So I didn't have that support system at home. So that was not for me. But I love to encourage people to go to college and get that college life. But there isn't even college life right now because of COVID. They're doing it from home, from school, from their bedrooms. I'm not spending no money on that. I'm not doing it. If the luxury of sending your kids away to college is to get them the hell out your house so you can walk through your house naked, I'm not doing it. I would like to walk through my house naked, but if my kids see me naked, they will be like Barron Trump, special sauce. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the show. We're doing very well in the ratings with iHeart and Amazon, and we thank you for that. It's only because of you all. We also want to acknowledge that this last 4 years have been a real shaky time in this country. I do think that we can get back, not to basic, but with Nicholas pushing the whole Constitution, I think that they're not going to rewrite the Constitution, but they will actually include us into the Constitution because I feel very excluded, as a people, and I'm talking about black people. So hopefully they will, because all we want is fairness. We want to be treated equally. We want to be given a fair shake. We're not asking for your handouts. We work. We do what we're supposed to do. We just was tired of working. Had me picking at cotton and shit. I don't even like cotton like that. My dress ain't even cotton. My dress polyester. So honestly, we want to get back to some sense of normalcy in the world. Because I tell my children, because they hate the Zoom school, that y'all didn't fail school. The school system, the world failed you all. This America has failed their children. Seriously. with the school systems and what they're missing out, and so many people out of work. And America has failed us. America, you owe it to make it back up to us. And we're hoping that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can be the two people that can help mend this gap between this broken America, because these racists are not going to do it. These racists want it to be just what it was, a nice, racist, divided country. We better than that, y'all. We are more like that. We are different. It just don't look like that right now. But we're going to fix it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and that agenda is going to be pretty extensive of the first day in office. So I'm excited to see what these first couple of weeks of this new administration looks like. So
Lauren, I'm excited to have a president who won't be mean tweeting and just I like, it was so uncomfortable because, I'm just happy for a turning of the corner. So,
sure.
We've talked about a lot of things today, everybody. We talked about everything from Jacob Blake to recognizing the officer, Mr. Goodman, who put himself in harm's way to protect leadership. We also talked about the Lysol and the teacher in Florida. And remember, whatever we talk about, we want everyone to remember that we want you to laugh, we want you to learn, we want you to have a good time, because we are not trying to get you to change your mind.
We are only trying to get you to use your mind.
And for those of you all who don't have a mind, get you some Prevagen so you can remember what your mind is. Prevagen is some shit that make you remember shit. It's for old folks. I'm thinking about starting taking it my damn self. We appreciate you all. We absolutely adore you guys. And we want you to follow Nick Smith at Nick Smith News on all social platforms. Guess who has a YouTube page?
I do, yes. I'm officially on YouTube, Lauren Hogan. You can follow me there. And I'm also Lauren Armani H on Instagram.
And you can find the big bitch. That's me. Not Big Black, but Big Brown. Yes, Big Brown. I am on YouTube, Flame Monroe, Twitter, Flame_Monroe, Monroe Flame here on IG, and Marcus Flame Monroe Parker on Facebook. I'm telling you guys that this show is only about what you guys teach us, because it's like a boomerang. We just circumvent it. We learn from you. The questions and the inboxes that we get, and we get plenty of them. Oh my God, do we get plenty of them? I don't read them, but they do. So I'm just letting y'all know.
Do indeed. So keep on sliding up in the DMs. I appreciate it. That's how some of the topics come about. So thank you guys.
Thank you to our videographer Kendall. Thank you to our producer Tribble. We thank you, Flame Mass, for tuning in, watching in. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace.